Okay, dear friends, we're going now to our regularly scheduled opening shiur. And our opening shiur is usually what we call Pesacheinu Megadim, connecting the beginning of the Parsha to the end of the Parsha. I want to take you to this week's email. Like we mentioned, if you don't yet get the emails, you could subscribe on our site, rabbidg.com. You see all these Svarim in English are on sale now until after Hanukkah. They're all available. And Pesacheinu Megadim. I want to thank my friend from France, Rabbi Rafael Ansel, for reminding me of something I heard many years ago from Rav Isaac Bernstein. And this thought really hooks together the beginning of the Parsha with the end as follows. In Parshas Vayeishev, it begins with dreams. Yosef is having a lot of dreams. At the end of the Parsha, it also ends with dreams. The dreams of the Sar Hamashkim and the Sar Ha'ifim. However, there's a very big difference between these dreams. The beginning of the Parsha discusses Yosef's dreams and his relaying them to others. The end of the Parsha talks about the dreams of others and Yosef interpreting them. And Rabbi Bernstein pointed out, look at the difference, contrast the difference in terms of what happened to Yosef in the beginning of the Parsha and the end of the Parsha. Beginning of the Parsha, he's walking around telling other people about his dreams, his aspirations, his hopes, his yearnings. Well, that was, so to speak, a recipe for descent. On the other hand, the end of the Parsha, he sees two people troubled. There's something on their mind. Yosef says, tell me about your dreams. Tell me about your aspirations. Tell me about what you're thinking about, what you're hoping for. And that catapulted Yosef to greatness. So to speak, the beginning of the Parsha and the end of the Parsha is a contrast in the attitude that one could have in life. You know, whether one lives only to bring success to themselves and to bring to fruition their own aspirations, or whether one is interested in helping others' dreams come to fruition. And Rabbi Bernstein would say, we say that Yosef was an ish matzliach. How do you say successful person in Hebrew? Success is not ish tzelecha, but the causative mem, matzliach, to bring success to others. Then obviously the connection between the beginning and the end of the Parsha begins, Eile toldos Yaakov Yosef. Rashi says, Eile toldos Yaakov. These are the happenings and the events that unfolded in the life of Yaakov. Foremost ingredient in the various happenings in the life of Yaakov was Yosef was 17 years old, and things ultimately led to his descent to Egypt. And sure enough, at the end of the Parsha, we read, Yosef is put in jail. So what Rashi says, the Parsha began, these are the happenings of Yaakov, meaning these are the unfolding events leading to his descent to Egypt. Well, that's exactly how the Parsha ends. I saw in the Sefer Kerem Eliyahu, connecting the beginning of the Parsha, Vayeishev, to the end of the Parsha, Vayishkachehu. By the way, the older brother of the Baba Sali, Reb David Abi Chatzera, known as Ateret Roshenu, his yahrzeit was this week, wrote a Sefer Reisha V'Seifa, connecting the opening word of the Parsha with the closing word. Well, the Sefer Kerem Eliyahu brings a very powerful idea. We know that Vayeishev is a reference to the fact that Yaakov Avinu wanted to live in Shalva. So Hashem says, it's not enough what's prepared for you in the world to come. You also want to dwell in tranquility in this world. So Vayeishev refers to the desire to, so to speak, have a little bit of tranquility. However, we know from the Gemara and Shabbos that excessive indulgence in the enjoyments of life brings a person to forget Torah. We know the story of Rabbi Elazar ben Arach. He came to Dionysus and he got drawn after the springs and the wine, and he forgot his learning. He wanted to read the pasuk HaChodesh Hazeh Lochem, and instead he read it Hacharesh Haya Libam. It comes out that if you have too much tranquility and respite, it's an ingredient for your Torah to be forgotten. Therefore, the Parsha begins, Vayeishev. Yaakov wanted to dwell in tranquility. The last pasuk is, Vayishkachehu, and he forgot HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he forgot, that's like a remez to excessive indulgence brings to Shikras HaTorah. There's a Sefer Koirei Meirosh, who also brings a very interesting connection between the beginning and the end of the Parsha. We know the Sar HaMashkim did not remember Yosef, but he forgot him. Why did Yosef have to suffer an additional 2 years in jail that the Sar HaMashkim forgot him? The Medrash says because Yosef put excessive faith and trust in the Sar HaMashkim, and that lack of bitachon was resulted in Yosef having to stay in jail another 2 years. The question is, on the one hand, Yosef is called someone who trusted in Hashem. The Medrash even opens up, Ashrei hagever asher sam Hashem miftachai. Yosef. So how could it then turn around and say, V'lai pana el rahavim is Yosef? So this Sefer suggests that because Yosef was on such a high level of bitachon, that's why he was held accountable for his very minuscule failure in putting some faith in the Sar HaMashkim. Therefore, for ordinarily this would not be a lack of bitachon, but for Yosef, it was a lack of bitachon. Why was it a lack of bitachon for Yosef? Well, he was on such a high level. Why was he on such a high level? Because he's the son of Yaakov Avinu, who excelled in bitachon to the highest order. And because he was Eila Toldos Yaakov Yosef, he was expected to be on an extraordinarily high level of bitachon. In fact, the opening pasuk of this week's Parsha, Vayeishev, is Rashi Tevis, V'yivtechu b'cha yoidei shemecha, emphasizing the importance of bitachon and the great levels of bitachon that Yaakov Avinu reached. In many Sfarim it brings Vayeishev as Rashi Tevis, V'yivtechu b'cha yoidei shemecha, the Sefer Kol Menachem, the Sefer Maharam HaKoyen. Therefore, since Yosef lived in a house of Vayeishev, of V'yivtechu b'cha yoidei shemecha, that's why he was held accountable for putting too much trust in the Sar HaMashkim. My friend Reb Daniel Weinstein sent me a beautiful connection between the beginning of the Parsha and the end of the Parsha from the Sefer Reishis Chachma in the section Chupas Eliyahu. The Reishis Chachma says there are 4 things in this world that are dust. Avak Rivis, Avak Avodah Zarah, Avak Lashon Hara. Avak Lashon Hara, Vayave Yosef as di basamra el aviyam. Chazal say 2 tzaddikim were stricken because of Lashon Hara, Yaakov and Yosef. Yaakov lost the Shechina for 22 years, and Yosef had to sit in jail because he spoke Lashon Hara. So the beginning of the Parsha talks about Yosef's Yosef's Avak Lashon Hara, and the end of the Parsha we see what happened. Because of that, he had to be placed in the Beis HaSurim, V'lo Zachar Sar HaMashkim as Yosef Vayishkachehu. This all demonstrates Pesacheinu Megadim, the treats that await at the doorstep of every section of Torah. Actually, Rab David Avichatzera wrote that he would have liked to connect the beginning of every Masechta to the end of every Masechta. But first let's work on the Parshas Torah, and then we'll see where it takes us. Okay, Rabbi Isai, that is number 3, but I'm not done with you.